listen to the debate?
Politics? No,
Absolutely not.
no.
Why would you?
I'd rather watch reruns of The Price is Right. It's probably more authentic anyway. I don't know if that's meaningful, but politics are not meaningful. No, no plans at all. I'm surprised it's actually happening. Truly am.
It's hard, man. It's hard to talk about this stuff now. It's untrustworthy.
Yes. Yep.
So why give ear to it? Why give brainwave to it?
Yeah.
This is I mean, for me, it is a paradox or conflict because no one's ever answered perfectly how to balance staying connected to what's going on below the sun and yet not be caught up into it. Because to turn a blind eye is also not the right response. And to stand idly and let things happen is also not the right response. I mean, you look at David responding to the wickedness in the earth, and he was brutal to it sometimes.
Hmm.
You know, so you've got there's a balance. There isn't a sort of protocol to the process per se. There is a requirement to stay in connection to the father relationship, I think, is the only way to keep a healthy balance. Because
Oh
he can
gosh.
temper when you need to engage and when you need to step back and let it roll. But you can't just put it in autopilot. There's just no easy way to it. And each person is in an ebb and flow. Someone is leaning in, someone's leaning back. So you can't even measure by your neighbor what your level of participation should be. And
Right.
that's challenging. It's a hard thing, right? It requires the hard thing to do. And that means getting FaceTime with Father and saying, how do I engage in this moment? And then that's a daily reconnect. That's a weekly, monthly reconnect saying, am I in the right place? Am I connecting at the right capacity right now? Because even then you could say, July, 26th, 27th, Father says, engage hardcore. All right, I'm set. I'm going to engage hardcore for and you just go for the rest of the year, you just hardcore. If you just go on that autopilot, you could continue to do the wrong, it was okay for June 27th, but July 27th, if you didn't engage with him then, he might have said, hey, it's time to back off. You can't put it in autopilot at all.
No.
Otherwise, you soon get off course. You soon get caught into something. It
It's
truly
hard.
requires an organic daily interaction with the Father to find out where your engagement should be with regard to everything, really, but in the context of politics. So
Yeah,
it's a
that's
difficult thing to do
it
without the
is.
relationship.
Well, and I'd like to touch on that. But as far as like individual consumption of news and that kind of arena, like for me, I had to stop because of self-evaluation because I noticed I was not doing well. Like I could feel it. And when I cut it off, I felt better. It also lowered my screen time, which is, you know, if you can
Selfie.
do high screen time and still stay in a good place, hey, more power to you. But I don't think that's natural. I don't think not that screen time is unnatural. I'm talking about the being able to get past the effects of an overabundance of screen time. And nowadays people don't blink at 7 or 8, 9 hours a day of screen time, which is significant. It's amazing we've got that far. But beyond that, um, what is the relational aspect of politics? Because I notice right now it's touchy. Anything that's political anything that's politically charged. So anything that is meaningful to the community in some way that has been politicized because people make it an issue, it's stressful to talk to people. So relationally, it's difficult unless you know that someone you're talking to is 100% in alignment or at least close to alignment with you. It can be really touchy. So the relational aspect of politics, was there ever a time where in our culture where politics was more relational than it is today? Is it a relational landmine today? I mean, that's an assumption I just made. Is that true?
Well, I think it's always been relational. Is it a healthy relationship? I think that's the real question. Is it healthy or unhealthy currently? You know,
Currently, yeah, I would say no,
it's
but
I would say it's unhealthy in how it's being in general and how it's causing people to divide,
yeah,
right? It's much more polarizing than 50 years ago. So it's hard to it's hard to measure because the context in which we deal with politics today and our predecessors 100 years ago dealt with politics is completely different. They don't, first of all, we don't have 24-hour in your face information 100 years ago. So there wasn't this constant back of your mind nagging issues of the world 100 years
right.
ago,
Things not
right?
as not necessarily related to your current experience. So
Yeah.
the news
You
cycle
put the
brings
paper
things
down,
before you to form an opinion on. That's one
right?
of the
Your
things I've
newspaper
questioned.
was local only,
Right.
except for see, this is 1924. Okay. So, we had Telegram, and we had, you know, the beginnings, the predecessor of the phone, but it wasn't that no one had phones at that
Right.
point. I mean, it was like as a and I'm talking about even just wire phone, right?
Yeah.
So you had newspaper that was local, and occasionally you get some national syndicate about what's going on. And at this time it's probably World War One's or the yeah, about that, or the after effects. So you didn't have the information just constantly coming at you. And it wasn't, and so you're much more local, you're much more focused in on the relationship. People are happier probably because you're not dealing with the weight of the world in your
Yeah.
face all along.
Or even without the weight,
Much
it's
more
asking
time.
me to form an opinion on something that I don't necessarily know the level of control I have over it. So it's asking me to form an opinion, and then relationally, loving on my neighbor, we're bringing up opinions, things that don't necessarily have anything to do with our day to day
Right. Things across the
influence.
continent, across the world. Like
Right.
I was watching Tucker's he was in Australia this week, and
Hmm.
he or last week or whatever it was, but he was giving he was doing a little bit of speaking engagement and Q&A, and he was talking about how people are so polarized about Putin. Like he's like, who gives a rip about Putin? He doesn't affect my life. He's just a man,
Right.
love or hate him. He's another country. And he says, I should be more concerned about, whether Biden is a threat to me or not, whether, not whether a Putin is a threat. I should be more concerned about my current politicos in my state and my city than I should be worried about some guy across this. But because of the way that we're much more globalized informationally, we cross divides about our getting in fisticuffs, verbal fisticuffs with our neighbor about somebody halfway around the world that has no impact on your day in day out lifestyle. But
Yes.
because of that opinion, you're so at odds with each other. Like, I can't stand my neighbor. He thinks Putin's a great guy, or I think he's a terrible guy. I mean, what?
Yeah. Or he's
And that
not
was the point he's
incensed.
making.
He's not
Yeah,
angry.
it's
My neighbor's not angry that this is happening
right. And I
over there.
think politics in that regard has made us more divided unnecessarily, and that's
Sure.
destructive,
Yeah.
right?
Because
And
a
I
political
think,
question, if you ask me, if we were in a community, I would be very concerned and would want to have discussions about the perspectives and actions of the leadership because it directly affects my life and your life. So relationally, I can look at you as my neighbor and say, yeah, let's talk about this. And it's a real concern because it has effect and has a very tangible effect. You know, I can see more politics in my subdivision than in the nation, although I stay out of my homeowners association too. So even in this perspective, I'm inconsistent because I don't go to the meetings, I don't talk about it. But that makes sense to me. Like I can see having a expectation of a political connection. Like you should know what's going on with the leadership directly affecting the movements and activities of your life and your neighbor's life. It would seem irresponsible in a small community to ignore. You know, if you're on a ship, you should know your captain. And it should be something that as a community you guys look together and say, "Hey, is this guy doing the job right?" Because it may be necessary that we remove him because his actions endanger the people around us. And but on a big scale like this, it's hard to relate it, and it just becomes I'm being asked to form an opinion, and then that opinion affects my relationships heavily, more so now than ever. I mean, I'm only 47, so but so much has changed in that short time as far as access to information and then the weaponizing of that information amongst each other. So this politics things, love it, hate it, ignore it, pay attention to it, whatever you do, it is affecting the world around me in one way
right.
or another. I either choose to ignore it, therefore relationally I'm limited. If somebody has made their entire identity around this one political issue, it's a big deal, and that seems to be more and more the case where I hate Trump or I love Trump, and that is the test that my relationships go through first. And
And it
that's
shouldn't be. That's the unfortunate. Like
yeah,
that's the
that's
measuring, that's the entryway to start relationship with somebody. I mean,
yeah.
like
Past the small talk.
like
Like we
saying,
could we could
I don't
talk
know if
about
I'm gonna
small
get to know
stuff.
you. I don't know what's on the other side of the moon, but if you have a different opinion than me, I can't have a relationship with you.
Right.
Right. It's like there's no way for us to verify what's on the other side of the moon. You and I
Right.
cannot go up there and do that, but we're gonna be split in relationship if you don't believe that there's, you know, sunshines and unicorn over there.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds silly, and yet that's the same argument we do about men in power in our capital, men in power on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, come on, let's talk, let's reason with one another at a local, common sense, your family, my family, what's hitting you, what's your pain points right now. I mean, because I think in general, most people can be reasoned with, right?
Sure.
Most people can talk about the family level and the gas prices are up. I'm having a hard time with this.
Right.
They want to put in a new hotel over here on the street, and we know what that's going to do to our community. It's going to do to, those kind of local discussions are more, they're more concrete, they're more tangible, and they're
Right.
more close to home, direct impact, right? Uh, that's really where we should have our people would start there, I guess. But I would think just above the sun, what did Christ always do? He always brought it to the heart issue. These political issues in the nation of Israel. Well, yeah, but what's going on here at the heart? Let's have a heart to heart talk. What's
Yeah.
really, why are you so driven about that? What's the pain point here locally in your own city, your body, your heart, your mind that causes you to extend out and either reject or embrace something that is um, distant and has very little immediate impact on your life right now. But for some reason, it's something you can latch on to and identify with because it meets a pain point or gives you a scapegoat, right? So
Yeah.
you
A
can't
blame.
deal with the boogeymans and you can't deal with the scapegoats. You got to go to the heart level pain point issue with your neighbor when it comes to politics. Because we can't sit here and really know the man Trump. We know the media lies about him all the time. So where are you going to get your information from? And the fan club is also going to have their filters and their rose-colored glasses too. So they're not going to be 100% factual too.
No.
So where are you going to get your information from, man, that sits on the other side of the nation, and only you get sound bites and occasional, you know, uh, short videos on him, or an occasional interview with somebody. That's it. And you're going to build a whole identity around this man and a whole relationship aspect in your mind to put him, compartmentalize him, and say, this is where he fits in my mind. And you're missing key information. You haven't seen, touched, engaged the man. You don't know his true heart. You don't know what's really going on. And yet you've already either sent him to hell or you've set him on the throne in heaven. Right? That doesn't help. It doesn't help the local relationship aspect. So for me, when it comes to politics, like, I'm fine. We'll shoot the breeze a little bit about these people, but let's talk about what's really going on in the heart here. What's going on in the politics of the soul? That you have to reach out for that savior or that scapegoat to fill some sort of security in this city, in this house. And if we don't address what's really here, this city, this house, then that doesn't matter what external resource you're reaching out to find validation. It's going to have no effect. We're going to just be talking to a blue in the face because we're not really dealing with the heart of the issue.
Right.
I think most people can come to that place, can be led to that place. I say most. I know there's outliers that have drunk the Kool-Aid to the degree that they have obfuscated their own observation of who they are. They don't even know what's going on. They couldn't tell you what their pain points are because they have gone so far down that road that they're just automated in their way of thinking because they have tied themselves solely into what's being fed across the wave, the meta waves and things like that.
Well, I mean,
But
that
that's
touches on
not
why.
the norm. I think we find that in our local, like with people that you're sitting with on Wednesdays,
Yeah.
they're not the crazies out there. They're people with unique ideas, but can be talked to and reasoned with and realize we have a common pain points. We share similarities in the way we think about our neighbors, that we want people to prosper and to be healthy and to be safe. And being able to meet those and to discuss those basic needs as humans, I think we can easily come to common sense and actually probably solve the problems for ourselves locally much easier than trying to reach out to somebody 3,000 miles away and get the quick get lied to their face point blank, and then see that what they said they're going to do, it doesn't come to fruition, or it takes decades for anything to happen. Whereas a group can come together locally and solve the pain points of the local issues so much easier and have much better impact long term even, and how those things manifest.
I'd
But
like to
yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to look at this from above the sun. So
Mhm.
we sort of started this conversation like, okay, there's going to be a debate tonight. Will anyone be watching it? And we all want to say no. And then on the other hand, do we just not watch anything and just have that mind's eye that we're just gonna stay away from it all? Well, maybe not. So as a son, if we decide, hey, we're going to watch it, for me and my house, I know my husband will be watching it. Well, now a good friend of mine, family member, friend, has said, hey, can I come over and watch the debate with y'all? Well, I personally probably would not have watched it. And then I'm like, sure, come on over. I'll fix dinner. We'll have dinner. We'll watch the debate. And now I'm like, okay, now what's my role as a son? As I sit there and I watch it as a son, above the sun, to sit there and govern what I'm seeing, govern the atmosphere that's going to be around me,
Sure.
and what am I going to do as I hear the things, and what am I going to be intentionally engaging for? So I'd like to shift the conversation. How do you watch these things so that you are aware of going on, so that we as sons can govern? Because being a son doesn't necessarily mean that we're to always ignore everything, close our eyes to
Right.
it, turn away from it. So how do we govern as a son as we watch these things, and what should we be intentional? So maybe we could move the discussion toward governing as a son as we do watch these things, so that we are a little bit aware. I'm probably the most unaware person of this whole group, because I'm just busy and I have lots of stuff going on, and I'm so focused on the other things and the fun things that I don't like to get wrapped up all in the chaos. I don't feel like I'm called to be the governing over these things, but it doesn't mean that I'm never going to govern. Like if I'm going to sit and watch it, then I'm going to be called to govern. Maybe there's a reason why she's coming to this house to watch that on the media. So
I think you just described
go.
operating in sonship politically right there. Right there. I you choosing like the idea that we should or we shouldn't doesn't sound like sonship.
Yeah.
That sounds like servitude. Servants shouldn't touch this, shouldn't move in this hallway, shouldn't do this. Anytime somebody says, well, you should be involved in politics or you shouldn't be involved in politics, that doesn't sound like sonship. For you, you don't get involved with it until it comes to your house. And now it's, hey, I rule here.
Right. Because it's relationship will always, if you're for relationship, you're going to find yourself talking about
Yeah.
politics.
And you're being a
Right.
peacemaker.
And yeah, so it's in the case of like doing an above the sun review, calling the plays kind of thing as you're watching this debate. I imagine sitting there and discourse with the people I'm watching it with the intention of building a relationship with them. I mean, and the secondary benefit, you might say, of watching these things is you get an idea what might be coming down the pipe. What are these people thinking? What are they saying? Culturally, what we're gonna see happening. So there's some things that you might get that, but really, I mean, I think that that Christ would be present in the room, mindful of the hearts and minds of those watching with you, looking for opportunity to increase that relationship, helping them grow in their relationship with him, through dialogue, discourse, talking about, why does that bug you? What's the plain point out of here? How do you feel about all this stuff? And why do you feel that way? And really getting into the relational dynamics of that. And maybe you come away with a better understanding of these people. Maybe, I mean, people on the TV, maybe you don't. But at the end of the time together, you've built relationship with those who are local, those who are there, and maybe you come away with some common ground as far as perspective and viewpoints that only strengthens the relationship. I don't
And
know.
could we cause a shift if sons of God are watching the debate and intention in their heart and love,
Sure.
saying, Father, let the light be revealed, let truth come forward, truth, you show up. Could there be things that could happen that could actually change? Could as one of the people are speaking and going to speak out the lies, all of a sudden it just gets be revealed. They weren't able to hide it and cover it. And it shows, and people are able to see the deceit or the lie or the things that they're covering up are all of a sudden not covered up anymore.
Right.
Not that they were intentional on uncovering it, but it just happened. So that approach could be a good thing. And as you
Well,
sit there trying to monitor, listening, and governing, and Lord, let your light be revealed. Truth, you come into the picture here. Truth, you show up. You let the deceit fall flat. You let the lies fall flat. You let it just fall apart and crumble to the ground as the light is revealed in this, the truth is revealed in this. And then of course, then there's the people that I'm going to be around, and my husband, he gets really into it, and so I'm going to have to monitor myself and my emotions in that to be able to stay calm and try to calm the atmosphere. And I don't know what the other person's reaction will be to what it is. So I feel like I'm going to have a big responsibility just sitting in the room with what I'm listening to, not being affected by what I'm hearing from the media or from those around me. Chris, I'd love to hear what you have to say on some of this.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is my kids are now telling me when I'm encountering the difference between a quantum assignment and an entanglement, so I've been training my kids. So that you have a quantum. What's the difference? The entanglement is what you didn't expect. The assignment's what what's coming. So you get to prepare. So, I love that. I don't want to go too deep other than we're all responsible for the journey in our own lives and where we're at, and taking out our own trash every day, dealing with your own junk, and desiring to become more self-aware. So until you get to that point, you're going to be stumbling and bumbling. Doesn't mean Yahweh doesn't love you. Big love doesn't love you. He loves you where you're at, even in your stupidity. So you're seeing a lot of stupidity. I'm just being a little authentic. River said, hey, Boston C. So, all right, I'll take 2 minutes, and then maybe 3. So the whole politics, personally, to be transparent, I unplugged. Everything changed for everybody on the planet after COVID and the election, and whatever your thoughts are at the election. If you do not realize that you are in an eternal shift that took place in 2020, you're going to be left behind. You got to get self-aware and wake up and see what's going on around you, and then choose the type of person you're going to be, because it's all about character. So we're having conversation about politics and people below. And then when I say this, and if anybody that listens to this is getting triggered, that's good. That's good. Because we're not having a conversation yet. We're still not. We're still red and blue. Yay. Hey, why is that other guy not in the thing? Oh, yeah, because it's a malevolent, corrupt, intentional organization that's enjoy the show, everybody. So until you deal with the voting integrity on the planet and corrupt elections at the local level, at the state level, at government level, until we want to get our thumb out of the mouth and put the bubba down. How's everybody doing? Is the water of your body getting triggered yet? No voting integrity, no character. You're all assuming an election, right, left. What if you don't get what you thought you should get, like people thought in 2020? Are you a better human being working on your character, or are you worse off than you were before 2020 because of what happened in 2020 with the election? Still looking for an outcome. Here's what you need to do. Here's what Big Love. Trust me. I put kings in. I take kings out. I am the self-existent one. My thoughts are higher than anybody's thoughts on the planet. Come to me. Trust me. Get a fearless eternalistic, authentic reverence for something that's bigger than you. There is a God. I am He. You're not it. So until you want to get out and acknowledge that who I am and I got this, the malevolence that's taken place below the sun is only temporary. Man, we are going to have the biggest head fake. It is going to be the best of times for the sons that lean into authenticity and have a reverence for big love. If you don't have reverence for big love, you need to work on, and everybody else, we all need to work on our religion because we all have one. It's a belief system, an ideology. And everybody on the call has the ability to change their mind with new information. But we got to put Yahweh first. We got to get this thing going. Right? Dean, I think, said earlier. And I love this, and she's spot on. Just look and see what Big Love is doing. Well, that's great. Big Love is doing something, is always doing something, and he's doing something uniquely and individually for each of us on the call and everybody that hears this. So observe what he's doing within you. It's great to see what he's doing out on the planet and where we fit in. Because we all have to strive to thrive, to stay in our own lane. That's the beauty of being in relationship. We're all unique. We all have a story. We're all entitled to our opinion. The whole hate and envy and the low vibration, get over it. So I love the fact that River's going to go in and bring the frequency. And she, you know what? I'll sit there. I'm not going to watch it. Don't need to, because I'm going to let everybody talk about it the next 2, 3, 4 days. And it's like, and I'll just skim the surface because I don't go into the 3D of what's taking place. Because I'm thinking, well, we're all waiting for November. Let me tell you. Yeah. Just love big love, practice loving big, and take out your own trash every day. Deal with your junk, because it's all about character. And big love sees everybody. He sees what we're all doing and what you're not doing. And he knows who it is. And he loves humanity. He's not having a go. He's having a go at the malevolent corruption that mankind chooses to tolerate within themselves. They won't deal with their junk. Just a little bit of porn, just a little bit of naughty this, a little bit of that, just a little bit of this, a lot of grace this. Listen, it's not going to work in the days ahead. Big love is on the scene. Whirlwinds of justice are blowing breezily within ourselves. Okay.
I love that, Chris. And
Hmm.
what stood out a lot to me from your conversation and what you've said is, how do we govern as sons of God in above the sun way? And the more that we are being in relationship and intentionality with love, which is the God of love, who is love, who has the frequency of love, the more we get into with him relationally, the more the light is going to be revealed to us. He will do that. He will do the awakening. You may be awakening even without relationship, working on that and growing that relationship, but you will know what to do and what your role is or how to govern. You'll learn that as we work with big love, as we're in relationship. But when you're in relationship with him shows you your junk, and you need to work on your junk so that you can become more like Christ is in you, that you can have the mind of Christ, taking those thoughts captive, cleaning up your junk, becoming in relation. It's like you're moving from glory to glory, higher and higher in Him. And the more you are, the more you will see, the more will be revealed to you, and the more you will be able to live out your purpose here on earth for such a time as this. Wonderful, spot on.
Love it.
It all comes back to God. It always comes back to love. It comes back dealing with your junk so you can be as Christ is in you today, having the mind of Christ, having his DNA replace the DNA that is the old creature within you, so that his DNA is being replaced in you, the new creature of who he is, that you are fulfilling, and he is fulfilling in and through you. Absolutely good.
So good. Well said, Reva. Well
Yep.
said.
Dina
And
is saying in the chat, she said people need hope to change, and many
Yes.
people have forgotten or have gotten in a place of giving up. And that I think that is a true statement.
That's a good topic.
People, hope empowers, right? It empowers the individual to believe that making a change is worth it because of what the future holds. And so many people get downtrodden because they don't think the future is a positive, but it's spiraling into a negative, and they get disenfranchised from their hope, and then they move into the place of what's the point? Why bother? It's just there's these gates you go through of discouragement, despair, to to the point where you find you have to go into this spiral effect where you finally let go of all the things you were holding on to as your hope anchors, and really falling into the core set of values that provide you the hope. And we have a hope in Christ. We have a hope in our relationship with our Father. We know the end of the story regardless. So it gives us a place to anchor. It's a bedrock that says, yes, the change is worth it. But it's interesting in the journey, it's not cut and dry. It's not always very clear what that journey, that pathway is. And we discover in the journey of this hope that keeps us moving, that we offload all these things we put our hopes and expectations and hope and expectation that this next election is going to bring a change that we're hoping. And so I'm going to get out there and I'm going to drum up interest to go vote, through the vote, all just getting involved. You put yourself into these things that you think will help make that happen because you have hope. And when those things fall away, disillusioned, that's one more thing in the journey of trying to be empowered for change. That's one less thing that you just toss aside. And you have to go through this disassociation, this disenfranchised. Like that's pointless. Like many of us with the church, we got disenfranchised with the structure of the old wineskin, and you go through this process of gates of denial and discouragement, disappointment, to disconnect. I am and never darkening another doorway of a church again because of ABC, right? And you had to go through this part, but that journey, it still requires some sort of hope. Like there is a hope at the end of this, and people need to have in any kind of discourse regarding politics. I think there needs to be a conclusive thought of hope that what you're asking me to do to make a change is worthwhile. Because if I don't have hope, then what's the point of making any changes? Why should I change my diet? Right? Why should I change my physical exercise and do any of that? Why should I do any of this stuff? You're telling me I should do this. Why? What's the hope in that? People need that hope to empower them to make a change. Otherwise, they give up. They don't continue to push into it. And people are clawing for hope. People are clawing for change in ways that they see it falling apart, and so everybody's pulling their hair out to figure out how to, it's a flight or fight mentality. It's at play right now. Either they're highly and aggressive in getting involved, or like, I don't even look at politics. I don't even know what's on the ballot. I don't even care. Right? It is a spectrum, and it's everybody's on that spectrum is based on their level of hope for the future. And I think our dialogue and discord as sons and living above the sun has to always impregnate them with an eternal hope that supersedes, that includes a shalom and a peace that supersedes all reasoning and understanding. Because everything below the sun is always in lack. It always spirals into despair. Good intentions always end in chaos below the sun. So the next great speaker, the next great Messiah is not going to do it for you. The next great orator is not going to be it. There's always going to be lacking it. It's going to always entropy. It's always going to be a failure. You can't put your hope in that stuff. So you can't engage, and that's the thing, is you can't engage change in those things without a hope that supersedes the thing that you're looking to change. Right? You can't put hope in something that's is shaky and is a sandy bedrock or a sandy foundation that's with a little bit of tremor is going to cause it to collapse. You can't put hope in those things. So you can't affect change without a hope that's is anchored in something that supersedes the thing you're changing. I think that's the point for me, is if I look at politics and I look for desire to change, I don't put my hope in the man that needs to make the change. I
Yeah,
don't
let me
put my hope in the system. I don't put my hope in the system and thinking I'm going to go affect change that by because I'm hopeful for that. No, my hope is that my father is going to do what he says he's going to do, and then I can turn to those things and do and make change and speak into those things according to my hope in him, not in the outcome of that effect. And I think for in my journey, that's the only place where I feel like I can put hope that will give me empowerment to make some move towards change. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
so just, so let's level it up like from a mature perspective, right? So we know that hope is the actual definition is a confident expectation of good. So you got to get a handle of. So hope is not wishing. Oh, I'm hoping. Oh, I'm hoping. No, well, you're wishing. Maybe you'll catch a wish every now and then. And so a practical, and the other thing is hope. Interestingly, if we know that we're spirit, soul, and body, so our spirit, there's a gateway in our spirit. One of those gateways is what? Hope. So if hope is a confident expectation of good, it expects good outcomes. So it has that. That hope gateway exists in your spirit. And as a spirit being, we occupy that gate and we make sure that hope gateway is open and functioning properly. So a practical example, while we were talking politics. So let's use the hope gateway and say, do I have a confident expectation that in November, number one, there's going to be an election. Number two, there's going to be a fair election. And number three, that the candidate that we all want is going to win. And the answer is absolutely not. Well, wait a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. So you have no, what is hope? But here's what I know. whether we get what we want, mankind wants in November, Big Love is going to get exactly what he wants. So my hope gateway is focused that I absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, can tell everybody that I am absolutely confident that it's all going to work out the way Big Love has designed it to work out here below the sun. That's the kind of hope that you need to have versus a wish. Well, because I'm wishing too. I want Bitcoin to go to $1 million like in the next couple of years. Hey, some other things too. But you know what? Could go to zero. Anything could happen. But you know what? Are we still tethered to Papa, Big Love, and just trust him with the outcome? And that's my hope. And that's where I live. And I think that's a good place to live. So there you go. Stop wishing. We're spirit beings. Get in that hope gateway. Confident expectation. What are you wishing? What are you hoping for? What do you want? Imagination, desire, intentionality, stay in power. The stay in power of the faith. I'm learning that shows loyalty. The reverence for Big Love gets us into the gateway of love. You got to revere Big Love and just like, man, get off the cross. He needs the wood. And then when you're just like, you know what, Lord, we do it all the time. But is anybody like going to X and watching what Boston C posts every day? I'm taking headlines. I mean, I don't go deep into articles every day. Lord, you seeing this? Yeah, I'm seeing it. Obviously, you're seeing it, Boston. Yeah, Lord, this is not right. You know, Supreme Court, you see what they're doing? Oh, it's getting real bad now. Yeah, it might. But Big Love, you got this deal. All malevolent corruption on the planet needs to go. Big Love wants it to go. He's trying to get the stuff out of us. That's the play. We want him to take all the bad guys. What about the bad guys that are in all of us?
That's a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we sit there and talk about all of the bad things going on in the world and the bad junk and what people are doing, are we actually cleaning up the junk that is within us?
I'm not
Within
taking out my
our
trash every
world.
day.
We are a
Sometimes.
world. So are we cleaning up the junk and getting rid and allowing him to remove? And honestly, the title for this today could be Faith, Hope, and Love in the Midst of Chaos. Because that's what we are. There's such chaos out there. And if you're not careful, and a lot of people aren't that live under the sun, especially, they get wrapped up just in what you said. They get wrapped up where they have no hope, they have no peace, they have no joy. Their faith is being wavered because of everything that is going on, the corruption that is coming to light, that is being revealed. And I don't want to get into a debate on rapture theory, but for some, that is the answer. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to have no faith, hope, love, joy, or peace, or anything. The only thing I'm holding on to is that Jesus is coming back. But that's not what we're called to do. Whether he comes back and you believe he's coming back, or whether you don't believe in rapture theory, or you believe whatever, we have something that we're here to do. We're put here to fulfill our scroll, to fulfill our purpose. And by going in to Big Love, going in to the Father, you get to be underneath his rest in the shadow of the Almighty, underneath his wings. And when you get that, you can go and you will start getting a balance from the light to the darkness. There has to be a balance. He will start balancing that. And in that shift and in that balance, you will have the hope, the love, the peace. It's an unshakable, unsolid foundation, all that chaos is. But once you go to the Father and you go into big love and He starts changing you, changing your heart, letting you see what He's doing, allowing you to work on you in peace, love, joy, rest, all of Him, all of the fruit of the Spirit, and all of that starts changing, you become balanced because we're so out of an alignment in so many ways that you become balanced. And when you come balanced within yourself, you start balancing everything that's around you. You start balancing the world. And that is the solid foundation that you're sitting on, which is His character, which is the release of faith, hope, love, joy, peace, and all of Him and who He is. That's what He's trying to get us to. Because when we, as His sons, get to that, we shift, we change all of the world around us, and we will bring it to balance. Everyone's like, when's God going to show up? When God going to do this? When's He's wanting to, but He wants to use us because that's what Jesus said. I'm going to go to be with the Father that the Comforter and the Holy Spirit can come and live in you. And together we will do more than I was ever able to do here. We will do what I done plus more. And that's what creation is waiting on. Come on, we want you to do what He did and even more. But we got to get rid of our junk. We got to come into the love and become big love. And as we become love, we're able to be what we're wanting Him to do for us. We will do with Him as one in Him.
And that's encapsulated in the the instruction of Christ that says, remove the log out of your own eye before you take the log out of your neighbor's eye. That's really the heart of that message. It's deal with this here so that when you clean yourself out, you clean your own eye. Now you have the eye of Christ, the eye of the Father, to be able to look at the other stuff and judge rightly. And we always think of it very narrow-minded of judging and criticizing and correcting people. But what it really is the heart of Father saying, come sit with me. Let's deal with the junk in you. Let's remove the beam so that you can see clearly at what's going on in the earth, in creation. And then you can judge correctly according to my heart and then my love and my faith and hope that I've put in you to then actually affect change. Because you're not going to be able to affect change in the earth and creation if you got these logs in your eyes and you can't see through my eyes. And I think that's taking that narrow-minded, churchy, old way of teaching that passage and giving it a real heart and a real message of it's about relationship. First, get your relationship with Big Love squared away and let Him deal with the junk so that He can use you in partnership and sitting alongside Him to do the cleaning up of the mess below the sun. Yeah, it's really good.
It's good. Feels good.
It's good.
Well, I think this answers why politics are so inflaming. It reveals where people are putting their hope. Your hopes in politics or leadership change. Be prepared for disappointment.
But it's things have changed again post 2020 because now the planet, because we're mankind, we're all in this together because there's a bigger play that's happening to mankind deliberately. So when we want to grow up and have mature son conversation in a group that we're different, but so we got work to do. That's why Above the Sun, I love it. I love this. We could talk about anything. And there's just some things we don't, and I just say, you can, well, what do you think about this? I don't know. I haven't formed an opinion. Can I have like 15 or 20 seconds and let you know? And, climate change or whatever. And it's like, you know what? I'm not getting baited. And so that's why I just say, you get it like intuition. Hey, it's another spiritual gateway. So there's 2 gateways. No, there's actually 8, according to Sir Ian. So I'll go with that until somebody discovers more planets, more spiritual gateways. But yeah, intuition, right behind revelation. Intuition. If you really, 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 really want to know truth, you really want to know truth? Well, not really, because I might have to give up a lot of this. Really? Is that? Who told you that? And you can't. And then we want to blame religion. Everybody's got a religion. We've been fed a pathetic one for a long time. Now it's time to get a real religion, and it starts with love. So where do you get started? I don't know. Just hug somebody. Ask somebody, hey, can I have a hug? You know, just practice loving big. And see how your body feels. Start there. And then keep doing it. That's the faith. That's the loyalty. That's the loyalty that we choose to demonstrate by continuing, even if you feel like you're faking it. I'm giving him a hug, but I don't feel it. It'll come. That's the emotion gateway. That's in your soul. Conversation for another day because we got to wind it down. 5 minutes to go. So just listen to your intuition and desire truth, absolute truth. But it's love. It's the highest frequency there is, not rocket science. But so, yeah, planet has a loving problem.
Yeah.
I need a hug. Oh, my son's moving out. I'm going to be living alone again. Can't wait. Coming out of first thing, I'm coming out of the bedroom naked, walking up all 3 floors, going down to the basement. Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll wait on that hug.
There's not a lot to look at there. So
I'll give you a minute on that hug.
Keep it real. Keep it. Come on, PG. PG. Pull it in. Pull it in. Pull it in. Don't go there. Pull it in. Keep it funny above the sun. We're pretty funny around here.
Yeah.
It's
Have
good.
your house back. You can do what you want, Chris.
That's right.
Yeah. Until next time. Until
put your pants on before you hug me. That's all. It's a simple request. Right? It's not complicated. Not a big barrier.
Yeah. Not a big ass.
That's so good.
Anyhow, this
All
is
right,
good.
guys.
Yeah, guys. So good.
Yeah.
Until next
How do
time.
we close this down?
Oh yeah, that's right.
What time?
Well, so
River.
yeah.
We're 3 minutes early.
Wind us
Until
down.
next time,
Write us down. Until next time.
have
Give
a
us a
blessed
good
day.
word. Give us a good word. Live
I
above.
think she just did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shalom, everyone. Have a great weekend, and
Love y'all
catch you
soon.
next time